Hi everyone, welcome. It's Sunday in the private group. My tablet's sideways. It doesn't like to stay that way. So give me just 1 second to take it off of here because it doesn't like to be on there. Now, when you put it on the thing, it just sees it this way. Otherwise, it doesn't. I'll move it in just a second. Let me get it up. He's been way ahead of the curve for my group today. Like helping me out. Yeah, you have. Okay. So what we're going to be doing is I'm going to teach you how to make a topiary tree with, whatchamacallit. I'm going to try to move some of this stuff over. Now that I can move this stuff out of the way, I can put this here. So, we've made these in the past. We did one for 4th of July, but I thought we would do one for Halloween. So that these are perfect things for you guys to put on your craft fair tables for people to just pick up and take away. These are also really super cute ideas to make as gifts for, I don't know, Halloween parties, or you can do them for Christmas. You can do them for any holiday that you can think of. So let me go over the materials of what you guys will need. There's my comments. So you will need a 5.5, this is like 5.75 inch. I don't need that. Styrofoam ball. That was just for you. And this is green. You can kind of tell that it's slightly green. I just did a really quick coat of black spray paint on this just because it's a Halloween decoration and I don't want to see the green through it. So just a couple squirts of black paint on the styrofoam ball to kind of help hide the green. So you can pick this up at Hobby Lobby. These were from Hobby Lobby's spring section. I managed to get the very last black one that they had. So this was like 80% off. So it's some insane price. So all I needed was a black one. I really didn't want to have to paint it. This is a 6-inch bucket. So this is going to be the base. This is going to be the top. Our dowel is here. So you can pick these up at Hobby Lobby. They come in a pack of, what'd you say, 8? 7. So they're 12-inch long by 1/2 inch wide or diameter on the dowel, and we spray painted it black. So it kind of coordinates with this look a little bit more. I'm actually making this for my daughter. I did one for my youngest, so now I'm making one for my oldest daughter. So I thought I'd demo this. For shipping purposes, I would, do your ribbon topiary ball part. You can add your stick to it, which I'll show you we'll do once we get the majority of our ribbon on it. And then to ship it, you would just leave, like this part would be here, and then the bucket would be separate, and then they're gonna have to ship it. However, if you're making it for craft fairs and people are, it's gonna be a take and go. They're just gonna pick it up, pay for it, and go. So that you don't have to ship it, you don't have to break it down. So I'm going to show you how super simple this is. So 5.7 or 6-inch size styrofoam ball. You don't want it any bigger or any smaller really than the bucket, because then it starts to look like the proportions are not correct. And then no more, I would say, than 15 inches for your dowel. I just happened to pick up the pack that's in Hobby Lobby that had 7 of them in it. And then you're gonna need 76 pieces of 4.5-inch ribbon to complete the entire design. So as you can see, I have quite a few options laid out. I'm kind of doing 3 different types of the candy corn. I have the smalls, and then I have large on black, and then candy corn on orange. And then I'm keeping everything traditional Halloween colors with orange and black. So 76 pieces of 4.5-inch ribbon. You'll need straight pins. We're going to add a bow to this. glue gun if you need it. It's highly doubtful you don't. And then what you're going to do is you're going to start just assembling the loops, which is just taking and overlapping your ribbon. You don't want to overlap it too, like you just want it enough to where, I want to say it's maybe 1/2 inch overlap. And then you're just going to take your pins. And I find that if you use 2 pins versus 1 pins, they hold better, they look better. So you're just going to start by pinning.
Yes, does that have to be all one size, like 2.5, or can you use 2.5 and 1.5 inch?
You can try it. I just think that the proportions look funny if you have 2.5 inch loop ribbons on here. So I'm just going to kind of alternate my patterns. So the first thing I'm going to do is go all the way across, and I alternate between loops here, and then I'm going to come back with one here. So I'm toggling how I place them on my ball, and I try to get as snug as I possibly can because it looks better. So 2 pins. So you want to make sure that your diameter is the same. Like this one kind of wasn't. It kind of unslipped when I went to add this. So I'm going to kind of push it sideways and then go back to the bottom just like this. So you're going to do 1 loop this way, 1 loop this way, and then just kind of keep alternating the patterns. It actually goes pretty quick. If you want to glue them in place, you can glue them, but there's no need. So I just find the 2 straight pin method works the best. Just like this. And it looks funny initially. I've done so many of these that it actually looks really good by the time you're done.
Debbie has a 6-inch styrofoam ball from Hobby Lobby painted black.
Yep, I just painted it black because I didn't want to see green. If I was doing one for spring, I'd probably just leave it the green. It just depends on what color styrofoam ball you have. So I just go all the way across first of all. So, and if your ball starts to roll, this is why a 6-inch styrofoam ball works on here, is you can just kind of use this to hold it. So someone had asked, can you glue all your what would you call that? A loop? Could you glue them all and then stick them all on? Yeah, you could. I just find that this way is easier. This is another one of those projects you can do while you're just sitting.
Ravina, just like a can of Krylon.
I buy
spray paint.
I buy the cheapest paint possible. So I just go to Lowe's and I'm like, look, just give me 99-cent paint. I don't need no, you know, super weather hold, none of that stuff. It's almost pointless at that point to spend that much money on. Yeah,
because you're covering it all up.
Yeah, because you're just covering it all up. So you'll see that once you get your first row in, it kind of goes pretty quickly. This is another one of those, hey, no so crafty kind of things. I'm trying to see how far I can go. I think at that point I'm into the other side.
Almost like a doll with curlers on.
It does. We've mocked this before. I think you were saying that too. You're like, it kind of looks like a lady with curlers. And I'm like, mm-hmm, it does. So I'm just kind of pitting my pins in at an angle, but just making sure I get through both loops so they don't come undone. And then we'll come back in with our black.
Let me see how they look like curlers.
Don't they? They truly do look like little curlers.
Hey, y'all just joining.
So this is just something simple, and you can do this for every single holiday. Oop, already did that one. I did the bat. I'm trying to like keep my pattern going, like, so I know I'm not using the same ribbon. And I can't remember how many did we do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I have 14 different ribbon. So this is a great way to use all that leftover ribbon that you can't really put into a bow. You know, you can just kind of take it and set it aside in a tub to make for next year, when maybe all you have is like maybe 2 feet of ribbon left. It's a really great. I'm gonna grab this one because I didn't grab my other candy corn. Trying not to set it down. See, and I'm just kind of lightly bringing it around, trying really hard not to smash the ones on the other side. But this is where having wired ribbon really helps put all those together. It doesn't have to go perfect. Like, you don't have to keep your columns and your rows straight. So yes, like right now they're kind of like, kind of merging, kind of not. Not a big deal if they do or they don't. Our goal is just get them all in there. And make sure you hit both sides with your pin. There we go. Got one more to hit, which will be this one. So that shows you that the first row will take you just like that. Don't want that one to come undone. There we go. So see how I can tell I've been laying it in the cup, but this is where you can just take your hands and pull them back up. So we're going to go ahead and go all the way around again. Let's try to do it this way, see if that'll work. And so now I'm just going to take random patterns, like this is where we left off. So if this one is laying this way, I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to just do this whole side because I can let it sit in my pot.
Linda, she said at the very beginning, it's about 76 pieces and they're all cut to 4.5 inches.
Mm-hmm.
I think you have 14 different colors.
14, I think is what I said.
Yeah,
right?
14 different ribbons.
I think the hardest thing for me to remember is which way did I lay the ribbon.
It is the foam ball that's so glittery just because
It's painted, yeah.
You really won't see it. It's just there to hide the cracks.
Mm-hmm. So I always got to remember how to lay my ribbon. And you won't even see the, like, you know, somebody had asked me, should you use, you know, just silver or just white, or should we use black? And it's like, you really won't see them at all once you're finished, believe it or not. So they don't, you know, you don't have to be like, oh, well, I used a red, I can see the red. You won't see them by the time they're all done. Okay, so we did that. Let's go back to this one. So straight up and down. And if you keep the loop size the same, then you should have exactly enough to finish your design. It's when you start going, you know, make one a little bit tighter and one a little bit looser.
Probably, yeah, all 1.5 inches.
It just looks better proportion wise. Like I would never want to go 2.5. It would just be too wide on a 6.5 inch ball. You know, if you look at 2.5 inches, that's like 1/3 of your ball size. There we go. Okay, and we're just going to keep filling this section. So I'm just going to go this side. So I'm going to go this way. Trying to make sure I'm not smushing my ribbons as I go all the way around. And you can tell based on what I'm doing so far is that there's not much to cover. You know, you're basically doing one whole row, which we did here. Then we're kind of filling in. I'll tell you exactly how many rows. I don't want that one to undo. I always try to get the ribbon to the inside first. Like the one closest to the ribbon, do that one, and then you can just lightly push them. Okay. So we're going to do the one closest to our loop.
Styrofoam ball, 6 inches.
Nope, we have to go this way.
We're being asked, how much would you sell this for?
God, this is like a great leftover piece. I'd have to look. I've never sold one. I've had tons of people ask me to make them and sell them, but I'm like, I really don't want to ship them. So this for me would be hey, it's a takeaway item. You know, you're gonna pick this up at the craft fair and they're gonna take it with them and you're like, bye. Don't have to ship it. Cause then you have to buy like custom sized boxes for this. And I don't want to get into the ones, you know, where you're just doing one of this or one of that. But if you made these for every holiday and they did really well, which I think they would, because there's a ton of different ways you can embellish and decorate them. Let me go with my orange right here.
Styrofoam ball was what, $6.99, $7.99? We don't have the prices on them.
You can look that up at Hobby Lobby. I don't know off the top of my head. Because then it's, did you get it on sale where it was like 40% off? Because occasionally those go on sale too, but I don't know how often they do. See, I'm going to finish in this section here. Let's see, we did.
This is the white extended.
Nope, don't want to use that one.
Polystyrene is $3.49.
$3.49?
Yeah, that's what it says.
For a 6 inch? Sometimes you have to get them a little bit smaller because like this one is just slightly off in here. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start doing some of the ones right here. And I'll fill in.
It's not quite 6, it's like 5.7 inches. It's
yeah, it's 5.7.
$4.99.
So $4.99 for the ball. I think it was $4.99 for the package of 7. So you can't charge $1 for the dowel. The bucket was $5.99, but it was like 80% off. So you just have to figure out what your costs are going to be on that. So maybe, depends on what you embellish it with, right? Yeah, like 45 maybe. I mean, I think that might be a little on the low side. I'm going to kind of
Not including shipping.
Yeah, not including shipping, right? Yeah. I don't want to go that one. I was too close to the other one with the same color. I'm always trying to make sure my patterns are just right. See, and then they start getting to where, like, can you squeeze one in there? Well, technically you can, and yes, you can squeeze stuff in here. You could, if you wanted to, move these over.
Yeah, if you can find those types of buckets at Dollar Tree.
Yep. And you might be able to. That's just kind of like, hey, I never even thought to check Dollar Tree.
Obviously, if you got the black spray paint, you could spray paint the bucket too.
Mm-hmm. Yep, you could. Definitely spray paint your bucket. So I'm just trying to finish. It's always trying to stick the pin in there. Now, why that one was so darn hard to get in, who knows? Okay, so I'm going to put a little one in here. I'm going to wrap it a little bit tight. Not that one. Let's do this one. So sometimes you have to wrap them a little bit tighter to get them to fit. And then sometimes, believe it or not, you smash some of your ribbons as you're putting your pins in. But then that's what you can kind of go back in with your fingers and fluff a bit. Like I'm gonna move this one, I think, because it's kind of under. It's in the wrong place for my pins. Pull that one out.
Ravina, that's a good question. She'll show you in a second. So why did you decide to paint the bucket instead of gaps and cracks?
Oh.
The bucket came black.
Yeah, so you could use gaps and cracks in here.
But she's gonna show you why.
There's just a couple. You could just do, what do you call it? The dry foam, and then you can put peat moss in it. You can make little Halloween scenes at the bottom of your bucket. You could use little miniatures to decorate the bottom of your bucket. There's truly just a ton of different things you can do to decorate.
But her bucket's going to be interactive.
Okay. Steven likes to try to, like, give everything away.
I'm not giving it away.
Yeah, you are. Okay. So I'm kind of, like, squeezing some in here. So what I'm going to do is pull this one out. I'm going to put my black one in here. Sometimes they go in really nice. And sometimes you kind of have to make some accommodations with some other ones. Like sometimes you have to just pull the other one out, get your inside one in. Then we can go back in here. This was going this way. Take my pins out first. I've tried to do it before where you load the pins in, but that doesn't work out very well. There we go. Okay. There we go. Okay, it's coming together. So there's my third of the way. Now we will do the bat. So I'm gonna go this way with my bat. I think the hardest thing, believe it or not, is trying to figure out how to hold this so you don't smash everything on the opposite side, but enough to get all your pins in there. And I think the reason why my pins are so stubborn to go in is when I painted it, it's kind of crunchy. So I think they're kind of crunching on the crunchiness side. There we go. Okay, we'll flip this one more sideways. You can try to keep the pattern going for a while, but at some point when you're matching your sides, you just have to, whichever way you can get your pin head in there is the way it's gonna sit. Let's do orange for right here. We're gonna go this way. So we're almost halfway done. I'm trying to mix up my patterns. So I'm trying to make sure like I don't put the same patterns next to the same pattern of ribbon. I'm gonna try to squish this one in.
Hi, Melody.
Now we'll do, let's do polka dot. Okay. So these are fun. You could do a couple of these. You can stack them on top of one another. You know, make a triple layer one. Like maybe make one all in orange, one in all black, one in white. So you're gonna have to kind of come back out and fluff the outside pieces. So see how it's filling your ball? Okay, now the pain gets to be, because that worked for us while we had it, I'm gonna go ahead and attach my dowel. So what Steve did, and you could do this too, is on a piece of sandpaper, just go like this, you know, keep sanding it until you get it to a point. I don't know if you guys can see that, to a point. Mm-hmm. And then I am just going to stick this in the bottom. You don't want to go all the way through. And that's about what it's going to look like. So that's perfect. Let's see. We had talked about this before, about putting it in something, but I need it to hold it. See, I'm trying really hard not to smash the underside of this, because I'm trying to minimize the amount of fluffing of ribbon I need to do. And every time that you go to push it in with your push pin, it's gonna smush them. Let's just be honest, it's gonna smush them. But I wanted to keep my stick in there so I know where these are gonna go. So I'm just gonna kind of come in here. Yeah, that's a little too close to that pattern. We'll go in right about here. I'm trying to blend my ribbons. Oop, I missed the inside piece. So the only thing that I could think of that gluing them would prevent is that if you glued the loops, then you only have to center it with one pin. But then depending upon how they stack, you might be struggling with, you know, do I add one pin or do I add two pins? Because it kind of looks a little off. So I'm going through this one. So now I'm just kind of rolling it around and doing it to the other side. Let's do this one. So we're going to go side to side. I'm trying really hard to not push too hard on the other side. flipping. Let's use this one. I'll go vertical. I think somebody said like you could put it on a Coke bottle. That might work. Something like that. There's that one. Let's add black because we have way too much orange right here. We're gonna do one this way. Sometimes it's just hard for me to see black on black. So I'm gonna push it in from the other way. Okay. Need this one down a bit more. So I can bring this one in. Be able to pin it. You don't want to smash them. You don't want them in too tight to where everything is like smashed. These are all just from laying down on the other side. So you can even take a pencil and use a pencil and kind of fluff up your balls. Let's do this side because we're just getting down to the bottom. There we go. I'm trying really hard to hold this up because you kind of don't want to smash everything to the other side, because then what was the whole point of you trying to keep your ribbon loops open and pretty if they're all just gonna get smashed in the end? Let's see if we can get a vase for this. Maybe a little bit in the vase. Maybe. I think as we start to get towards the bottom, it becomes challenging because you're going to have to pick it up. You're going to have to flip it over. But here it might work for a little bit. Just move it a little bit closer. Trying to get it through the fat part of the ribbon. Go with the orange right below. Kind of have to pick this one up. Okay. I'm like trying to find the same candy corn pattern, but I'm like trying to spread it out a little bit so we don't have the same pattern. Like I don't want candy corn next to candy corn. I want to kind of break them up a little bit. Okay. I'll have to do the same thing. Pick it up. Push that in. And we can probably put this down here. So let's just go ahead and do these. I'm going to try to get the ones closer to the bottom. I'll just get these ones finished so then I can just put it back on in the bottle. Let's get that one open. Okay, go over here. Okay, we did that one. Let us go over here with this one. Trying to get them started when you start to get them in the closer knit spaces. Just trying to get it okay. Let us go with this one. So that'll fit in there. Okay, we'll keep coming around. You guys are so quiet. I guess it's like, well, there's not much questions we can ask.
Yeah.
You cut these into 4.5 little bundle things. You pin them in, and what questions do you have? None, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, since I'm the prep group too, some of the questions the gals have been asking, I've just been typing it in while you've been doing it.
Oh, well,
Like,
that's
it's like the size of the ribbon again, and how many total, and
76.
size of the ball and the bucket.
1.5 inches. Yeah, usually what I do is I don't necessarily worry so much about what am I smashing, because it's kind of like, you know, our bows, you'll go back and you'll fluff it at the very end one more time. Let us do this one. So I'm just kind of looking at what colors have I used already. See, it's making sure you can grab that loop on the end. Get your pin all the way in. Like that. Slowly getting there. Yeah, I'm aware too that I'm like, I have candy corn ribbon with candy corn ribbon, but it's okay. It's small versus large. And we're really filling the bottom part of our design now. So you're not going to get things to line up in your columns. Things are just going to kind of be, as you get towards the bottom where the stick is, it's just, hey, can we fill those in? So I'm going to keep working this little area right here, trying to fill them in as best as I can. Kind of want to go on this side.
Hi Rita, no worries. She said just got home and watched the replay. And I said, holy smokes, Gail, you're really cooking. Gail said she made 4.5 wreaths this weekend.
Yeah, she was at a craft retreat, so yeah. I just figured with 4 lives every week, it doesn't benefit me to try to do any more during the week. I would just burn out so quick. So I'm like doing a live on Friday, 2 lives on Sunday. My pins just doesn't want to stay in there. And then 1 on Monday. I'm like, that's 4 wreaths a week or designs. Like in this case, we're just doing the topiary, which is so nice to just break up, you know, something that you've done over and over, like a wreath, a wreath, a wreath. Let me... Okay. Trying to get my pin to not go sideways on me. There we go. So I'm trying to hit that inner, like right there. It's really hard to get in. Get that pin down. There we go.
Yes, we're making a Halloween topiary tree.
This one came undone.
Ravina said, if you have lots of white and orange and yellow ribbon, could you make 3 balls each color for a candy corn?
Why not?
Sure.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah, it'd take a lot of ribbon, but it'd be cute.
Right? So I am just going to stick this one together because I've got it worked into this very small place. So you can add a dab of glue if you feel like that'll help you get, you know, more accurate in where you're placing them. So I'll show you what I'm doing. You could take your glue, lay a light bead in there, and then as you flip it around here, just make sure your glue is on low, not on high, and then it just stays where it needs to. I just pulled my stick out. Let me push it back in.
And I said, I think it's good to see different designs and ideas. Keeps you fresh.
It does. This keeps me from getting bored. You know, making the same thing over and over and over. It's like, okay, a wreath, a wreath, a wreath. It's like, let me just make a garland or a bow, or let's do sconces instead. Okay. I'm going to snug these ones pretty close to the bottom. Let's do some more candy corn. So as I get closer to the bottom, I find that the glue kind of helps because it'll at least keep it in place till I can get my pins in. And then I can put them pretty darn close next to the other ones. Ooh. that. Okay. But just imagine how cute these would be on your craft or your craft fair table. Because you know we always have, as wreath makers, we have space, right? But we're like, what do we put in that space? You know, our wreaths hang on the sides of our canopies or on large racks. And it's like, it's really nice when you can have something that can fit on a table that people can come in and look at. And because these sit at a lower price point, they're perfect. And I'm trying to get this one as close as I possibly can to the others, so I can kind of cover my stick a bit. So I'm just kind of filling in the last little spots. Let's try to get you to go this way. Trying to really get them in there pretty tight. That'll fix this one. Looks like my pin came out of that. So I have a couple more. So I'm going to take this one and go pretty small, just because I have a very small little corner to fit. So let's see if we can kind of get this one in. See if I can kind of open this one in and cheat. Get my pin in. And then I'll pull this one up and pull that up. So we filled in that little gap. And then we're going to do the same thing here.
The cat prefers probably to use 1.5 ribbon because it's just, it makes it more rounded. The 2-inch would probably be a little bit tougher. It's
too big, yeah. Honestly. Watch, I'll show you what a 2.5-inch ribbon would look like. It's just too big. Because the diameter of our ball is 6 inches. So if you do 2.5-inch ribbons, you're already at 5 inches. It's too big.
Hey, yeah, Lydia, we can see your comments. Cat, yes, he's using 1-inch pins.
Mm-hmm. So you can see I'm like trying to fill in all the space. And then you can come in here with your finger and just plop them up. Plop them up. And we have one more spot right here. Right. See, I was able to get that right in. You would not be able to do that with 2.5-inch ribbon. It would just be way too big. So now what I'm going to do is all the places where I might have smashed it, you know, I'm taking my finger, which is again why this is so nice, is you can just fluff up all your ribbon. So it kind of makes this little quilted looking little ball all the way around. So anywhere that you need to not pull your ribbon off, we needed it to go this way. Okay, there we go. Trying to get it all the way, and you need to make sure that when you're pushing your pins in, they're going all the way flush to the ball. So go up to the top where I knew we were gonna mash quite a few because we had it laying down. So we don't want it flat, we want it three-dimensional. So just make sure your ball looks like it's rounded and your ribbon tails are not flat, like this. But then there's your ball, there's your ribbon ball. And then, so it's all completely covered all the way around. I'm not finished with it just yet. So, but there's the ball completely covered. 1.5 inches, 2.5 inches. Let me show you. So here's 1.5 inch ribbon. This is 2.5. This is way too big. You would be taking up almost 2 sections all the way around. It just looks better if you do it in smaller diameter. Now, if you did larger, like maybe 12-inch balls, then maybe you could potentially look at doing, you know, the 2.5 inch. So that is set there. So there's a couple things that you can do to embellish that further. Make sure I don't get rid of my pins. So I pick these up every year at, this is Michael's, yeah, Michael's. So they have this 3/8 inch ribbon. This is from Joann's. This is 7/8 inch ribbon. Michael's again 5/8 inch. I like using the 3/8 inch ribbon, and I'll show you why. So I'm going to pull these out, and I'm just going to trim these so that only the words trick or treat show. And let's see how big these are. They're pretty big. So let me try. Let's go here. So I'm going to take my pin, pin it right in here, and then I'm just going to take these and pin them directly in between. So they have these like little tails, I guess. So because this one says trick or treat, let me give you dimension on here, how wide or how long. So these are about 6-inch pieces by the time I'm done. And I just kind of pin these just random places around the topiary.
Gives it some different depth.
Yeah, it just gives it different perspective. So for me, it's go until I get 3 trick-or-treats. And I pin it through 1 so that it's basically like halfway through. And then they kind of create these little wispy tails. I know, how many do I do? I just do it to where it's a look that I like. Probably, how many would I do on here? I just kind of do it until I feel like it's done. So let me show you. This one's done. Not done. Let me add one to the very top. So I'm cutting the tails at an angle because this is that satiny kind of ribbon. So you could go like this to find a midway point. Then I put my pin in first. And then I just pin it wherever I want it to stay. I try to get it in between the ribbons so it'll kind of bow up all the way around. This is my last one. So this determines how many of these we'll put in. So we'll kind of keep these at the top. We'll kind of do this one right here. So we just have these little fun pieces. There's this boo ribbon. Let's see how big this would look if we did this. This is kind of sheer though. Let's see what this would look like. I have ones that have little ghosts on them too. Seems a little thick. I like the thinner ribbon, but you could, like if we wanted to come in and add the little boo. I'm going to pull this one out and just move it down. And fluff up my pins. Let's do another boo. Hang on a second. I think I have white ghosts.
Please hold.
Yeah, have some white ghosts. They'd be cuter than the boo. The boo's almost too sheer, so I do have these little ghosts. See, these all came from Michael's last year. So I'm always like, ooh, look, that's cute.
Guys, I love this. Lady said, we love the ribbon choices. That's a Rita. Love your choices of ribbons.
Thank you. We'll kind of go right between this guy. And let's add some ghosts to the bottom. Just like that. We'll add another ghost up here. Let's put another one on the other side. So I'm literally doing these right at like 6 inches with a little diagonal cut on them. If you wanted to, well, I'm not going to do this, but you could dovetail the ends. See, if you push them in, then they turn into these little wispy pieces. So I'm going to put that one at the top. I move this one down to the bottom of it. Fluffy, fluffy, fluff. I just pulled my pin out. So fluff. We can only get 2 more ghosts, because then I'm out of my ghost ribbon. There's not much on these for Michael's at all. Let us, there's a ghost there, there's a ghost there. Let's go up here with a ghost. Like that. And then let's flip these so they're fun. It just gives you, again, something different to do with them. Let's get this to where it looks a little more cylindrical shape. So we've got the little boos. I'll put one more ghost because I have just enough, literally just enough to do one more. Look. I'll put this one at the bottom. Let me see, we did it there. We did it there. Let's put it here. Okay. There. Trying to round out the one that the ribbon's not really thick. There we go. Just wants to push out of that one there. Okay, so let's make a cute bow because we need a bow for our tree. Take these, push all those away. We're going to use all the candy corn ribbon, so we're just going to do simple bow. So we're going to do the orange. So we'll dovetail cut that. I'm going to probably go, it's about 7 inches. So 7 inches in. I'm going to do 7 inches for my loop, which will give me a 3.5 inch loop. Another 3.5, a 7, sorry. That'll give me another 3.5. And then we have 7. We're finishing up all this leftover Halloween ribbon. I'm just going to set this in my Bodabra so I can dovetail the end. And then I'm going to do the same.
I have a lot of those little ribbons too.
See?
Yes, this is where it's great for scraps.
It's a scrap project, really. So I'm going to do this one as well. Because this whole design was supposed to be for candy corn / trick or treat. So let's do 6 inches. Let's do 6, let's see, 6.5 and 6 and, I'm trying to think. 7 gives me 3.5. 6, that's like 2.5. Let's try this, a little one. So I'm going 6. 6. And then 6. Let me just smush all that in. All this is doing is just holding it so I can dovetail that final end. Let's do that. Let me get, I know we had black pipe cleaners from somewhere. I know we did. Did I move them all? No, I have them. No, I have it. Okay, so I'm just going to pick this up. So I'm just holding all this in my hand. So there's that. I'm going to take this one, add this one to the back end. I'm going to pipe cleaner this. So I just made one, stacked one on top of the other. Because it has to be kind of a small bow. Because not much of it's going to stick out. So it's kind of like this. Here's our longer tail. And let's get this in the bucket. So you could do gaps and cracks. You could do that. And then file the other edge of your dowel and stick it in there. Okay. You could get dry styrofoam and put that in there. And then put your dowel in and then cover it with like peat moss. So let me show you like what we did on this one. Move all this stuff out of the way. And so like we did this one for, let me pull this one out. See, I have them. So in the event I sell them, this is how it will go. Push this back up. So this is just styrofoam with peat moss in it. So it goes right into the center. Here's our little simple bow. So this is the one that we did last year that I demoed on how to make your little topiary ribbon tree with peat moss. So obviously I just use them now for decorative purposes. So what I'm going to do in this case to make it super fun this year, I've never done this. There's just fuzz in there. I actually ordered candy corn in a 5-pound bag from like a bulk candy company. So okay, candy corn. It was supposed to, it's for other projects, but here's candy corn, right? Here is our design. So we'll actually fit inside the candy corn bucket. Now, of course, you can either put your bow down here, you can add it down here on the handle, but I prefer to do them up around our topiary tree. I'm actually going to cut the tails a little shorter. So let's make these just a touch shorter. You could fill it full of, you know, mixed candy, just Halloween candy, and just call them, you know, Halloween candy topiary trees. If you sell it with the legit candy in it, make sure you calculate your cost for the candy. So I'm taking about an inch off of that ribbons. But because my daughter's a huge Halloween fan, I wanted her just to have something super cute at her desk at work that had candy in it.
You said how cute. How would you price this? You said earlier about 45 to 50.
Yeah,
without
probably.
Shipping.
Yeah,
and
without
also
shipping.
You have to put a disclaimer that does not include the candy corn.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're just using that for decorative purposes, then yeah, like Steve says, make sure you include the disclaimer. Does it come with the candy? Does it not come with the candy? You know, you could choose to, like, for me, would have this sitting on my booth table with the candy corn in it. And if people were interested in it, I'd be like, yeah, you can buy it, like, you know, whatever price point you want. Because we figured out this is, what did we say, $6 for the ball, Steve?
No, $4.99 for the ball.
Okay, 5.
Yeah.
This is another 5, so that's 10. The ribbon is all just, it honestly is leftover scraps because we're only using 4.5, and I did 14 different Halloween colored ribbon, 5 pieces each. So that is, I'm trying to do the math in my head, 4.5, 4.5, 4.5, 4.5. That's like basically 9, and then a 4.5. So 1.5 feet of ribbon. So when you price out your ribbon, it's probably going to be like 26 cents for one, 26 cents for another. And then you can just kind of ballpark it and be like, okay, $7 for ribbon, $5 for the bucket, $1 for the dowel, $4 for the ball.
Right,
and then
this is so cute. Kids would love that. Can you imagine if a teacher had that?
Oh, this would be a great gift for a teacher for Halloween.
Yeah,
that would be awesome.
Linda, yeah, you're absolutely right. You could fill it 3/4 just filler.
Yeah.
And then do the top layer with candy corn too.
Yeah, it just depends. I mean, like, if I'm like one of my best friends, and it's like an ongoing joke we've had for the last 11 years because we first met over sharing candy corn at a pumpkin patch fall festival field trip that we had with our kids. So that was our bonding experience. This would be an adorable gift to give her because she automatically understands the significance of the candy corn, to be cute. And then she could fill it up. You could put M&Ms in it. You know, if you wanted to do it more fall, you could put, so I think the open candy creates the stability in the base. Whereas if you put like little miniature bite-sized chocolate, you're probably going to have to, like Steve says, either, you know, start with gaps and cracks at the bottom and then just glue your dowel to it, or then fill the top. it would be a super adorable gift. I mean, these would make great gifts for, like you said, teachers, hospice, you know, people who are stuck in hospice who can't have real items. But think of this, you know, even if you did 2 for fall or 2 for Halloween or 2 for Christmas, you could decorate them all like similar. And I would put these on my mantle, like in our home.
Side table.
Yeah, or on the side tables, just however you want to decorate it. But they're super cute, super fun to make. This is a gift or a project you can do with your kids because there is no glue required on these at all. So you don't have to use the hot glue. You just have to, you know, be wary with the pins. But how cute is that? Like, it's super adorable. You can even go with a little longer dowel because this was a last minute project because we were supposed to do the football wreath, but for whatever reason, I don't know what happened. I sold all my football ribbon with a football kit. So the ribbon's on order. It's supposed to be here on Thursday. So next week we will do the football wreath with the Dollar Tree football form. So that gives you guys some extra time to go out and pick those up if you want. And that's pretty much about it.
Karen said this is the first ribbon topiary tree I've ever liked. I love it.
Yeah. And you can do these for every single holiday. Like you could do this for, you know, all your patriotic holidays. So if you're doing craft fairs, I like the craft fair idea because it gives you something to put on your table, because as wreath makers, we don't have things on the table. So you can do this, you can do lantern swags, you can do bows that people can just pick up and go and maybe add to their porch light fixtures or the ones that go on either side of the garage door. It looks funky right now looking at the picture.
I love it. I see from the front view, it'd be kind of hard for you to tip it. We'll take pictures and we'll put it in the...
So look, if I take this out, so let me do it like this. And I know what Debbie's saying because it's kind of hard to see it. Yeah. So if I hold it this way, this is kind of what you're seeing. Otherwise, all the candy corn would just fall out all over the thing.
We'll take some pictures and put it in the group.
Yeah. So there is our topiary. If you wanted to see it drop down a little bit so you can see where the bottom of this plays, you could do that.
And then I said, you sold the football kit to me.
See? Yeah. I was like, we were out in the garage for like an hour going, I swear to God, I had a football ribbon. And Steve's like, I know you did. And I'm like, wait, that's right. I picked up like this kit and I put together a whole kit full of like sporting ribbons. So yeah.
Yes, that's where we got the football frames was, Linda, from Dollar Tree.
Yep.
And then Karen says Dollar Tree always has those buckets for every holiday too.
Exactly. So hopefully you guys like this idea. It's super fun to make. I can't wait to get your feedback. Like, hey, if you guys do the project, send me pictures because, you know, come back to the private group and post them in the private group because I love to see what you guys did, what your take on this was. But there you guys go. Something fun, something simple to do. And then come back at 6, which is in about an hour and 45 minutes from now, where we're going to be doing the square Dollar Tree wreath frame. So I'm going to show you how to do really gorgeous, rustic, more of a traditional fall wreath using the Dollar Tree square. So I even went and looked. I was like, I know I've made one. I just never taught it to the group before, and I've never taught it in the public group. So come back and join me for that. If not, replays available.
Leah said, we really like it, different. Lita said that. Rita said, thanks for another great class.
You're welcome.
Barbara, congrats. She said, I made the turkey today.
Yay. I need you guys to come back and share.
Yeah.
See? Just a whole bunch of different fun things. All right, everyone. Well, I will talk to you in a little bit. I hope to see you guys back in a little bit, and I'll talk to you then. Bye, everyone.